There's no doubt about how much Americans love movies. $6.54 billion was spent on movie tickets in 2022. But have we stopped for a minute to consider what we are spending our money on? In elementary school, we all learned about the structure of a story, or in this case, a movie. You have the introduction, inciting incident, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. But what I don't remember learning about was examining the influence movies have on our culture, ideas, and lives. Think about the last time you watched a movie. What was the general plot? Take the famous Christmas movie Die Hard, for example. Have you ever contemplated John and Holly McClane's marriage and why it's in shambles? Or the kids' movie Sing, where all the men in the movie are either in prison or mentally and emotionally absent. Or even deeper, in Shawshank Redemption, when Red is reading a letter left by Andy Dufresne. Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. Hope in what? And how do we know that it's truly good for it to never die? We watch movies well as a practice to carry this over into our daily lives. Because we agree with Andy. Hope is a good thing.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Behind the Curtain with the Watchwell podcast, where we talk about trending, current events, and pretty much whatever we want to talk about. I want to thank you guys for joining us. I'm going to bring in my guest here shortly. He's a really good friend. Before we get to anything crazy here, I wanted to remind everybody that Clear Truth Media, if you're not following them on X, go and follow them. They've got a brand new conference coming out this year, and I'm going to be there. And it's going to be really fun. So, they've got speakers like Rosaria Butterfield, Michael Foster, Seth Gruber, Jamie Bambrick, Steve Dace, John Roseman, and Stephen Whitlow. They got more speakers. I'm going to be there. I think Keith Foskey's going to be there. I got a lot of other my podcast friend buddies. Greg Moore from Dead Man Walking is going to be there. It's going to be a great time. It's called the Dangerous Friends Conference. And if you guys want to come, it's in Monclova, Ohio, on March 13th and 14th. And so if you want to buy tickets, dangerousfriends25.com, dangerousfriends25.com. And if you want $25 off, you can go there and use Watchwell25. That's Watchwell, one word, 2 capital W's, 25 for $25 off your ticket. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, speaking of Dangerous Friends, I want to bring in my buddy here. You guys know my buddy Corey. Corey, how's it going, my man?
I'm good, brother. I'm good.
It's good to see you.
It's evening time, and I've been dealing with some vertigo, and at night it gets worse. So, it is what it is. I'm a little loopy, a little dizzy, but it's all good.
That's great. Well, I mean, not the the vertigo stuff,
it's less than great,
but I like a loop. I like a loopy buddy. It makes things fun. It keeps it interesting.
Lively.
That's right. Okay, so I just wanted to have you on tonight, Corey. Hang out. We got some stuff that I want to, make fun of and just joke around. If you guys are listening, go ahead and subscribe to Corey's channel. Corey, tell them a little bit more about your channel. What they can expect. We're talking about politics today. You're in the politics space, so that's why I thought it'd be fun to have you on. So yeah, tell them a little bit about you so that they go and subscribe to all the channels.
Yeah, so you can find me if you're watching on X. You can find me on X at Civically Minded. That's CIVECCLY Minded. So civics ecclesiology, hence the ECC, and then family. So civics, ecclesiology, family. Those are kind of the 3 legs of the stool that I do over at my channel. I do practical theology for everyday life. So I try to see, the doctrinal, the theological, in the most mundane places. I've got 3 kids and a wife. We are living on a 15-acre kind of small farm in North Carolina. And so, I have some shorts and things on my channel where I'm, talking about feeding our goats or our cattle or whatever else. And, scripture will come to mind, and I'll try to apply it to everyday life. So that's a lot of what I do. I do have a signature show that I do on my channel called The Right Wing. My name is Corey Wing, so it kind of fits. And I'm right-leaning on politics, so it's The Right Wing. And I do a lot of political theorizing and just keeping up with political current events, things like that. So if you're into politics, if you're into the church, if you're into family, or you just don't know what practical theology is and you'd like to learn a little more about that, come see me.
Yeah, man, it's super awesome. So, real quick, I wanted to say hi to Feckless Cowboy. He's in the comments on YouTube. He's a real one, man. I love seeing him, especially when we're all in Keith Foskey's comment section when he does his Friday night live streams. Feckless is awesome. It's so fun.
He's a faithful guy.
He
Good
is.
guy.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Him and Lindsay Rose.
Yep, Lindsay's awesome
around as well. So
yep.
I'm grateful for the both of them.
Yeah,
I'm
really
not grateful for others, but they are, those two, man. They are always faithful.
Yeah, what up, man? Okay, so Feckless, I want you to kind of engage with us too. Feel free to put your thoughts in the comment section, because we're going to talk about some, first we're going to talk about something a little bit more serious, and then we're going to get to, The View and Carrie Underwood and Donald Trump and some other stuff here. So first, I'm going to see if I can pull this up, Corey. I came across this today. I think Jeff Durbin actually posted this. One second here. I'm going to pull it up.
The ninja, as they call
The ninja.
The ninja.
Jeff Durbin. Okay, so he pulled this up. I think he mentioned something about this like a week ago. Corey, can you see that on your screen?
I can. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to pull this over here. This right here, guys, this is End Abortion Ohio. And if you go in here, you can actually see these on the resources page. You can actually see this. So this is actually the new abolition bill. And of course, it's not going to let me show it. But if you guys, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. You may not be able to see it on your screen, but I thought it would actually let me bring it up here. But this is where you can find it if you want to read it. And it's actually pretty straightforward, and I wanted more people to know about it. So if you want to read that, if you want to be up to date on what's going on in Ohio with abortion, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, was it? Man, time is, with Trump's president again, Biden's out, and time seems to blur a little bit. But
That's right.
They essentially codified it into the Constitution. The whole thing that happened a few years back. And so I was actually really interested to see Jeff Durbin in Columbus, Ohio, talking about this new bill. So I wanted to just at least touch on that and let people know that is happening. So
it's interesting. One of the first videos I ever did, because I started my channel on November 10th of 23, and it was right after the midterm, or not really midterms, but right after election day, of course, or is always in November. And so right after election, I started my channel, and it was the same year that you guys had that vote you're talking about there in Ohio. So one of my first shorts ever on Civically Minded was about that, and was about how Ohio is a fairly red state.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not, Tennessee, but I mean, it's pretty red. And to see that abortion had been codified into law, I was like, whoa. I mean, it was rather shocking to me.
Yeah.
So that was one of the first videos I ever made.
It was a big L, man. It was a huge L. It was pretty gross, some of the stuff that I saw, when it actually went through. And, some of these rallies that they did, and they were celebrating it. And it was, there was actually one, I didn't even think about this until just now, but there was one where there were two women on stage, and they were celebrating the fact that it went through. It was into law, and one of them was holding her kid.
Yeah.
While also celebrating the fact that, a woman could murder her child in the womb.
Yeah.
By law. It's just
crazy.
So self-refuting,
I literally told my wife, and I were talking about abortion because I've got a video I'm cutting tomorrow that I'm actually going to, when I upload it to X, I'm going to tag President Trump and Vice President Vance and send it to them, where the concept of the video is, what's the most life-threatening or the, I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to say it, but what's the war that has cost the most American lives. As far as all the wars that
Yeah.
America's been in, what's the war that's cost the most American lives? And of course, most folks would go, oh, well, it's a civil war, over 600,000 dead. But the truth of the matter is, it's the war on the unborn.
That's right.
And it's not even close. If you add every major and minor conflict that the United States has ever been in together,
Mm-hmm.
abortion still so far outpaces it. So my wife and I were talking about that today, and I said, as I was digging up statistics, and I'm not the first person to say this, but I'll be the first person on tonight's stream to say it. That statistically speaking, the most dangerous person for a black person in America
Mm-hmm.
is inside the womb of their mother.
That's right. It's just true.
And that's pathetic.
It's very pathetic. Yeah, I think, what is it, like 1 million babies a year or something like that?
Oh, it's incomprehensible. We're sitting at about 65 million since 1953 when Roe v. Wade, became law, and that's numbers that the Babylonians, couldn't have dreamt of. The people that actually sacrificed children to Moloch couldn't have dreamt of 65 million kids. Man, we took that and said, hold my beer.
Yeah, it's just super sad, man. I mean, it's just the sacrifice at the, altar of convenience. That's really what it is. And it's tough, man. But so
you get a lot of the stuff about, well, the health of the baby, health of the mother. The statistical information on that is it's less than like 2% of all abortions have anything to do with health of the mother or health of the child. That's such a gaslighting, just a red herring. I mean, it sounds good on paper, but that's statistically speaking so obsolete that we should never make abortion law based on health of the child or health of the mother.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, that's true. Well, and another reason why I wanted to bring that bill up and tell people like where they can find it is because when the original bill, a few years back was going through, it was so convoluted. We had people voting yes and voting no, and in the way the language of the bill was put forth was like hard to understand. Like, should I vote yes for it, or it was kind of confusing. And I reached out to Elijah from End Abortion, or what is it? Oh shoot, I'm forgetting his YouTube channel. It's I'll find it, or it'll come to me here in a second. But shout out to Elijah for sending me that resource. But anyway, the idea of me letting people know where they can find it is so they can actually read it and be informed on exactly what it says. So when someone says, yeah, but the life of the mother, life of the child, mothers will die if they don't have access to abortion. It's just not true. It's written specifically in there that, life of the mother is a protection. It's a life-saving operation, not a purposeful killing of an unborn child. So,
well, and when you think even about the Hippocratic Oath, I mean, it's
do no harm. Yeah, you're right.
Do no harm, save life, and so the idea that doctors wouldn't jump in and not just try to save the mother, but ideally, when there's a risky pregnancy. And my third child, Ruby, my wife was 42 when Ruby was born, and she was a high risk pregnancy, and she went into full on preeclampsia post delivery, which is super weird. So usually if women get preeclampsia, which is really high blood pressure, it's usually during the pregnancy or sometimes during the delivery. Well, my wife didn't have any of that, but she had it post delivery. And so we ended up staying in the hospital for like 3 or 4 days because they could not get her blood pressure to come back down. It was even medicated. They were really trying to work on it. And so, I mean, that now we weren't ever like in fear of my wife's life. It didn't get that bad, praise God. But, there was, they weren't thrilled, and there were definitely some moments that they were a little nervous. But, so I say all that to say it's the idea that something would be a high risk pregnancy and that the doctors and nurses wouldn't jump in and try to save the lives of both mother and child is so laughably ridiculous. Um, because the doctors that we went to the same hospital for all three of our kids. We've had a phenomenal experience every time. Just extremely professional doctors, really caring nurses. The support staff's been great. I mean, and it's just it's just ridiculous to think. And I know what all of us know about the COVID world and the what we learned about the medical industry during COVID, and I agree with all of that. I'm far more skeptical of like the pharmaceutical industry and even some of the medical industry post COVID, like all of us are. But it's that's not been my experience or my wife's experience when we've been in maternity wards and giving when we've went in to give birth to our three beautiful children. So it's just such a bludgeon that they use to beat over the heads. It goes to the Joe Rigney thing, of this toxic empathy, and primarily driven by women, that you have this toxic empathy of, if I can bludgeon you with something emotional, then you'll jettison your logical brain, and you'll just let me manipulate you emotionally. And quite honestly, I'm tired of that.
Yeah, and that's actually a good segue to something that we'll talk about later when we talk about this, pastor that lectured Donald Trump,
Not just pastor, bishop.
The bishop, that's right. That's
Bishop.
right. That's right. See, that's why I
Right.
bring you on here, so you can help me with the terminology of everything.
Yeah.
But before we jump into that, I want to play this video. So this is let me see if this works here. I'm gonna play this video of Carrie Underwood. So hopefully everybody can see that. If you guys are in the comments, there's 12 of you on X and there's a few of you on YouTube. If you guys are in the comments and something's going wrong with the stream, if you could just let me know. We're still kind of working through this new program, so that would be helpful. All right, so let's play this. Corey, if you can't hear this, let me know, okay?
Yep.
Know the words, help me out here. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee.
Okay, so we've got that, right?
Yep. Not a wardrobe malfunction. No, an audio malfunction.
It was yeah. So apparently they didn't get the music to work right, and then Carrie, it didn't show this in this clip. I didn't back up enough to see it, but she they couldn't get the background music to work, so then she turns to the choir or something and says, "Hey guys, I'm gonna need your help on this one," and then just starts singing it. So there's that. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to set the groundwork here. I want to pull this up here. Let's go to, oh shoot, where's it at?
While you're looking, I had heard that she had a minor hissy fit when she got backstage about the technical difficulties, and totally had a meltdown and stuff. And
oh, did
then
she?
Oh yeah. And then I read today that her and her husband are having some difficulties because she's a longtime vegetarian, and his meat eating is really starting to bother her. And I'm
Yeah.
like, Carrie, come on. I want to like you. I mean, who doesn't want to like Carrie Underwood? She seems like the all-American sweetheart.
Yeah.
And probably the most talented person to come out of American Idol.
Right.
But I mean, if you're gonna be douchey, then those of us that want to root for you are going to go, I can't deal with the douchiness. I mean, if you want to be a veg head, be a veg head, but then don't be a total tool when other people eat meat. I mean, that's like, man, just let people eat meat.
I know.
Your own
It's like on the list of divorce, it's like finances, probably what, religion and politics,
Yeah,
veganism.
yeah.
Like it just doesn't
How to
seem.
raise your children.
It just how to raise your. It just doesn't seem to fit on that
No,
list. Not that
no,
I'm condoning divorce in any circumstance, outside of the bounds of what Scripture teaches. But it's still it's still a funny thought.
That's right. That's right. It's like, hey, really? Come on.
Okay, so let's watch this next video, a little bit of it here, because we could all use a little bit more of the view in our life, right?
Oh, can we? Can we though?
Country superstar Carrie Underwood has spent most of her career avoiding political talk, but she's set to perform at the upcoming inauguration. She said in a statement that she's doing it because the country must come together in the spirit of unity and look to the future. And lots of her fans aren't thrilled about it, but lots of her fans are. So let's put this in perspective here. What do y'all think?
I personally hope we're moving beyond the era of politics where we want to cancel people's livelihoods because we don't like their politics. And whether it was the Dixie Chicks for criticizing George Bush, didn't agree with it then, and Carrie Underwood, if you have a problem, you register your complaint by not downloading her songs and not going to her shows.
Right.
But I also think from a business standpoint, it's not a bad decision for Carrie Underwood. 75 million people voted for Trump. Artists tend to skew left-leaning, so she's overnight going to become an icon of MAGA and the American right. She's probably going to make a lot of money off of it. So I get why she did it.
I say.
I mean, right? It is country music. I think
I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't do it, even though I
You
can't
would
not
sing.
sing?
No, I would not. I would not normalize him. And she says, I love our country. How do you love your country and support and normalize somebody who was a convicted felon who really wants to destroy the country, in my opinion? I don't understand how you say you love your country at the same time as you normalize this convicted felon, which I can say now every day.
A lot of my family voted for Trump. They love the country and vote for him. I think that people make these decisions
Fine.
for a lot of reasons.
Okay, fine. And I would not be the person to say don't do it, because I believe in free speech and everything about it.
Obviously. It's so obvious, Joy, that you believe in free speech.
So that's the question, right? Does she actually believe? I'll stop it there for a second. Does she actually believe what she's saying, or is she's got to be lying, right? Like, this is not real.
Honestly, she's like if the nanny were not attractive and were somehow more annoying than Fran Drescher's character was. All I mean, so seriously, I mean, how do you love the country? And then, is that really an accent that anyone just goes, I want to wake up next to that?
Well, it's like in Dumb and Dumber when Lloyd and Harry are like, hey, do you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
And it's this accent. I mean, and just so our viewers know that I'm being consistent, and of course someone's watching that's going to be like, my wife or my family, or I'm from the Brooklyn, and I'm like, well, sorry, your accent's terrible. But I married a girl from New York. I married a girl from Buffalo, and we met on Match.com. And so we had talked via computer. We had emailed and texted. Never talked on the phone, and we'd never met yet, but shared photos, and so I'd seen her, or at least photos of her, and I knew I liked her personality from emailing back and forth. So my big concern on the first time that I knew we were going to see each other and meet face to face was that it would sound like this. And I was like, man, I like this girl. I like her personality. We've gelled, even just kind of talking about some really good stuff. And talked about God a lot, and I was like, man, this is great, and she's beautiful. And I thought, and it's going to ruin it. I'm going to meet this beautiful, vivacious Christian woman, and I'm super excited. And I'm going to walk in, and she's going to go, hi, Corey. Hi, my name's Kristen. It's so good to meet you. And I'm going to be like,
I'm out, man. I'm out.
and that would have been it. But thank God she did not sound like that. Parker has now heard my wife speak, so he can confirm she doesn't sound like that. But I mean, I'm not kidding. That was a legit concern for me. I was like, I can't wake up next to that every day.
That's so funny. All right.
You and me are Midwesterners by birth. The Midwest has, very, very basic, if any accent, it's like nominal at best. So just this really abrasive accent just grates on me.
Yeah, let's keep going. This is too good.
Personally would not do it. No one's asked me, but that's another story.
I would love for you to do a roast at the Trump inauguration.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, no one else had any
So
thoughts?
there we
No
are.
thoughts?
We've had people like Reba McEntire come on
Yes.
and say that, she doesn't want to talk about politics. She just wants to sing, she wants to perform, she wants to make people feel good. And I respect that. And then we've had people like Dolly Parton, and I think you asked her, or
Are you a
maybe,
feminist?
are you a feminist? And she
She
said,
said, I don't think so.
I don't think so. But then you pushed her, and she said, yeah, I guess I am.
Well, I said to her, do you believe that women should make the same amount of money as men? Well, I guess I am a feminist.
Yeah, and she said, I guess I am a feminist. So I think people feel pretty strongly about it. I think art is art, and you have a right to perform where you want to perform. I agree with you, Joy. I can't sing a lick, but I certainly, and I have not been asked, but if I were asked, it would be a hard no.
Well, they wouldn't ask me, so I have nothing to say.
Right, yeah.
That's right, Whoopi. They wouldn't ask you, right?
I don't know. She was in Sister Act 1 and 2.
Right.
Where she sang like an angel, apparently.
So let me ask you this question, Corey. So I know there's country music has gotten liberal. I know all the entertainment, it's just been infected with woke ideology and everything. But is there a possibility that Carrie Underwood could be singing at Trump's inauguration because she leans Republican and she wants to support the new administration?
I mean, yeah, is it possible? Of course it's possible.
But when they talk, the women on The View, obviously, and I know that, this is not a shock, but when they talk, that doesn't come across like that's an option.
Well, because that's why it's one of the many reasons the left lost. It's
right.
Why the left will continue to lose. They live in a echo chamber. They really don't ever go outside of their whatever their bubble is. For them, it's New York or LA or whatever. For a lot of the politicians, it's the Beltway, the DC Beltway. For some folks, it's Chicago. That if you live in one of those major metropolitan leftist communes, you just live in an echo chamber. You don't want to listen to any other opinions. You don't care about any other opinions. Most of the country is flyover country as far as you're concerned. The East Coast, the West Coast, maybe, a couple other cities peppered in between, like Denver, Colorado, or some other, incredible Minneapolis, Chicago. Again, those other hardcore Democrat bastions. But you get the coastlines, those hardcore Democrat cities, you get the DC Beltway, and they don't think anything else exists. So the idea that 77.3 million Americans could vote for Donald Trump, it was not 75, by the way, not that anyone was counting except me. But
there were a lot of people counting, brother.
I know. So
I know you're being sarcastic, but
roughly, a million Americans voted for this man. And I just watched a scene from Davos, because that's going on right now too, the World Economic Forum. And one of the globalists from Davos, and I mean, I almost like jumped out of my skin. It was like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. One of the globalists there at Davos said from the stage, I think it was today or yesterday, that this constitutes the greatest political comeback in the history of the world that they're aware of. They said, we don't know of any political comeback that's even close to what Donald Trump's been able to pull off. We all thought he was dead. We thought he was toxic after 2020. And so that he's pulled this off with not just a victory, but an absolute shellacking.
Right.
Winning the popular vote, winning the Electoral College, winning the Senate, winning the House. I mean, that's in modern American politics, it was a beatdown.
Mm-hmm.
And so here this globalist on stage in Davos, Switzerland, at the World Economic Forum said, and with Trump winning, it means other people lost, and that means us. And then he said, I mean, we lost. The European Union, the globalists, we've been defeated, at least for the short term. And I was like, oh, holy crap. I mean, I couldn't believe he said it.
Mm-hmm.
I was stunned that they had the decency, for one, and the self-awareness to actually admit that they understand that this is a repudiation. This is the American version of Brexit. You know, Brexit happened in 2016, I think it was, in England, and it was them saying, we don't want to be globalist. We don't want to be part of the European Union any longer. And of course, since then, sadly, their own home politics have gotten actually worse. They've had a huge immigration problem of their own. They've had major, and it still have major problems with free speech and other things. They're being invaded by Muslims to a degree that's insane. So, I mean, sadly, Brexit was not a be-all, end-all fix. So go Nigel Farage for all of my English friends that might be watching or will one day hear this. Nigel Farage is your exit out. Go vote for Nigel Farage. And England, if you want to actually send some constables over here to arrest me for free speech violations, come get me. But we're in America, so I'll be armed.
My man.
Yeah, so yeah, it's this was our version of Brexit. You know, this is a full repudiation of globalism and the woke agenda.
Yeah, for sure. So it's just hard to, you know, being a coherent, free thinking individual to put yourself in a worldview that doesn't allow the opposite. Like, yeah, like she could just want to support the new administration, and that's just not even a thought to them. And that's just so
it could
far.
even be more basic than that. It could be, I just want to support America.
Right.
And right now, this is the guy that won.
Or,
you know,
yeah,
so
or to your
I just want
point,
to see America do well.
right. Or to your point, it's, I just respect the office of the president.
That's right. That's
I'm,
right.
Like, I'm gonna go and support our new leader because our,
Yep.
you know, our the way our government is set up, the people vote, and, you know, the result is the result. And I was asked to sing. Now, I don't know how much money she's going to make off of that. I mean, I'm sure she's not making nothing, but to make it all about money seems a little.
It seems trivial.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, let's even take what we're doing right now. I mean, we both host podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
We both have social media presences and in some way, shape, and form are content creator influencers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are we Joe Rogan? No. Are we even the Christian equivalent of such? Nope. But are you and I only doing this so that maybe someone will, you know, log in tonight, hear two guys that they've never heard before and go, hey, I like these guys. And, you know, I'm going to follow them on X and I'm going to go check out their podcast. I mean, no, that's not the only reason we're doing it. We're doing it because we believe in our platforms. We believe in the content creation that we do, or we wouldn't have started our channels. But two things can be true at once. So
Right.
does it mean that it'd be nice if people followed us or went and subscribed to our channels because they like what they hear on here? Sure, of course. So is she a monster for wanting to go do something where millions and millions and millions of people would be watching, and they might go buy an album of hers or download a song of hers because maybe they've never heard Carrie Underwood sing because they're not into country music, and they heard her sing this beautiful a cappella version of, you know, that song and go, wow, what else does she do? She's got a beautiful voice, you know, and she was brave enough to, on the spot in the rotunda, just belt out a cappella, you know, America the Beautiful. I mean, that's I mean, as a guy that used to tour and has sung and has even, you know, performed in front of like 1,500, 1,800 people once, that's a pretty daunting task when you have a malfunction of, you know, some kind of technical or audio malfunction, and you're standing there naked as the day is long, because that's what a cappella singing is. There's nothing to hide. You know,
Right.
I mean, there's no auto. Back in when I was doing it, there was no auto tune anyway. But there's no auto tune. There's no even background singers or music really to hide any vocal blemishes that you may have. That, even for the most talented of vocalists, is a very, very daunting task. And to do it with the president standing there, that's incredible.
Well, both Joe Biden, you know, everybody. I mean, everybody who
Obama,
is right there, right?
Biden,
All
Clinton,
of them, all
Bush,
of them.
yeah.
You know,
I mean, every
and
living president is standing in the room, and now you're on the spot going, I guess I'll sing a cappella. I mean, that's a shit. It took some serious cojones to
And she nailed it. Like, I mean, it's Carrie
yeah.
Underwood. It's Carrie
crushed
Underwood. She crushed it. And, you know, I've got a Kayla Brown in the comments on YouTube here saying that
Wait, who? I don't know that person.
Kayla Brown.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't know. Kick her out. She's gone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's kind of cute in her picture here. I might need to get her number or something.
Well, I'm gonna tell your wife.
She says Carrie singing a cappella was one of the most patriotic and beautiful moments. She's gotten so much praise for it. Hope it was for the best reasons, but the result was spectacular. Yeah, I mean, it's Carrie Underwood. And for everybody listening, Kayla's my wife. So, but yeah, I mean, she's right. She nailed it.
He's not wrong. She's lovely.
Yeah. So, but speaking of lovely, let's talk about something that's not lovely. make a transition here. So now we've got this up on the screen. Oh, I know, the size, right? The size. Here, let's see if this works. All right, Corey?
Of faith. And with God's help, I believe that unity in this country is possible. Not perfectly, for we are imperfect people and an imperfect union, but sufficient enough to keep us all believing in and working to realize the ideals of the United States of America, ideals expressed in the Declaration of Independence with its assertion of innate human equality and dignity. And we are right to pray for God's help as we seek unity, for we need God's help. But only if we ourselves are willing to tend to the foundations upon which unity depends.
Which foundations?
Like Jesus' analogy of building a house of faith on the rock of his teachings as opposed to building a house on sand. The foundations we need for unity must be sturdy enough to withstand the many storms that threaten it. And so what are they? The foundations of unity? Drawing from our sacred traditions and text, let me suggest that there are at least three. The first foundation for unity is honoring the inherent dignity of every human being, which is, as all the faiths represented here affirm, the birthright of...
Say that again, Corey. I'll pause it for you.
The first is a reliance solely and strictly on Christ Jesus as Savior and Lord. He is the foundation upon which all other things are laid. How do I know that? I've read Ephesians chapter 2, where it says that he is the cornerstone, the chief cornerstone, and then the apostles laid the foundation upon that cornerstone, and then there were prophets and others that built upon that. And then we are, as Peter says in 1 Peter, a royal priesthood that still builds upon that foundation now. She's full of crap. She shouldn't be wearing any. She should be defrocked. One, a woman shouldn't ever stand in a pulpit anyway.
Get him, Corey. Get him.
As a woman being behind the pulpit, that is she obviously can't even read or exegete scripture properly because she failed to understand that she has no business being a pastor, much less a bishop.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a Presbyterian on the live stream. Do you have your Presbyterian juice over there somewhere?
I finished that before we went live. Yeah, I had a Guinness before we went live.
Guinness, that's your Presbyterian juice. So
no, there's nothing she has said thus far that is even within the scope of Christian orthodoxy. Now that doesn't mean that Christians don't believe that humans have inherent wealth. We invented that.
Yeah.
The Imago Dei is our thing.
Right.
You know, so these woke morons that try to borrow from our Christian morality, our Christian ethic, and then pretend like it's theirs. You know, no, you're borrowing from our stuff.
And somebody's going to end up saying, somebody's going to end up saying, well, she's a Christian too.
No.
I'm just going to keep stirring that pot. Here, let's watch a little bit more.
Of all people as children of our one God.
This coming up
in
is
public discourse, honoring each other's dignity means refusing to mock or discount or demonize those with whom we differ, choosing instead to respectfully debate our differences, and whenever possible, to seek common ground. And if common ground is not possible, dignity demands that we remain true to our convictions without contempt for those who hold convictions of their own.
Okay, so let's stop there. So I want to ask you, how does that work? So how can you draw a line in this? So like if you have a conviction on something, right, Corey? Like you have a conviction on something,
Yep.
isn't that inherently a moral claim? So like if you go this way, my conviction is this, wouldn't you also be saying that all else is evil?
To a certain degree, of course.
Right.
I mean, and most modern people, even faithful Christians, don't even understand the etymology of that word conviction. You know, a conviction, historically, theologically speaking, was something you were willing to die for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you held a conviction, a biblical conviction on something, a la Martin Luther, you know, who says, "Here I stand, I can do no other." You know, unless I am convinced by Scripture and reason, you know, and my conscience, you know, I must listen to my conscience. That those are convictions. You know, Polycarp standing in a Roman Colosseum and then dying for the faith. Those are convictions. You know, saying that, well, I have convictions and this guy has convictions and they just differ. And well, by golly, and is she right that we must be charitable, that we must show love? Yes, absolutely. One of the chief tenets of Christendom is love.
Well,
I'm
and it goes back to
preaching
that.
on
It goes
Sunday about love. So,
yeah,
yeah.
it goes back to that Imago Dei, right? So like the
Yep.
reason why you show the other person dignity is because they're made in the image of God. You don't want to disparage the image of God. But
what is loving to the, you know, but what is loving to that image bearer? You know,
well,
and
to tell them
loving
the
is
truth,
telling
right?
them
First Corinthians,
right. Exactly.
1 Corinthians 13, right? So like it does not
Exactly.
rejoice in evil. And if you have a conviction on something and you're and so like it's really like a